Well, what just got delivered today? This is a two-post lift. So this is my kind of first look at this. And it's big and it's heavy. It had to be delivered on a forklift, and the forklift wouldn't fit under the garage door, so we had to drop it at the threshold there onto these little wheel dollies. So I can move this thing around for now. Now I got to find an installer who can put this thing into the concrete floor of my garage. Hopefully the concrete floor is thick enough. It's supposed to be a minimum of 4 inches thick. I suspect it will be. And if it's not, I guess we'll just have to cut out some concrete and pour some new concrete. So we'll just cross that bridge when we come to it. But this is going to be extremely helpful. Got this from a company called Eastwood. If you're into cars, you've probably heard of them. And were real good to me. There was some issue with how I was going to get this delivered to a residential place without a forklift. And they threw in the forklift delivery free of charge. So that was real nice. Really appreciate. Thanks, Eastwood, for doing that. But looks like it's got basically the lift components and then the power unit here. So I'm going to look for a good installer in my area so we can get this lift going, get this car on it, and keep working on it. The lift installers are coming soon, so I'm going to go ahead and unpackage this thing, get a look at it. Today is the day for the lift to get installed. Pretty excited about it. I had to do a little bit of thinking about exactly where to put the lift in the garage. In general terms, I wanted it to be sort of centrally located so that I could work around the car on all sides. So that's why I moved it sort of deep into the garage, which also allows me to park a car in front of it without interfering with it. So that was kind of the general idea about where I put it. I put it on the right bay as you're looking at it here so that it's closer to the slat wall and my tools on that side of the garage. And then we had to do a little fine tuning based on the floor and the ceiling. On the floor, the holes drilled into the concrete for the bolts can't be any closer than 4 inches to any sort of a crack or seam in the concrete. And there's some seams in the floor there, so we had to work around that. And then up above on the ceiling, there were some lights up there. There was a light that we had to move around a little bit. And on the other side of that, there was an attic access panel. So we had to do a little fine tuning. We put the bridge up there to make sure that it fit between the light on the left side there and the attic access panel on the right side. And once we got all that sorted out, we were ready to finally go ahead and drill some holes in the concrete. Can you tell already if it's the required thickness?
Yeah.
It definitely
You
is.
can see I went all the way up into here and it didn't go through till it's probably 5 inches or more.
5 inches or more, yeah. Okay, cool. Well, here it is, fully installed. This thing is a beast. And I was a little off on the height. It fits under the ceiling, no problem, unless you lift it to its limit, in which case the top of this cylinder right here would poke through the ceiling just a little bit, by a few inches. So good news is I won't need to run it up that high. They demonstrated it at its maximum height without striking the ceiling, and it's plenty high to work on the car. The other thing is, this side goes up to the tray part and has plenty of clearance. So if I really wanted to run it higher, I could just put a hole in the ceiling there, maybe put a big piece of PVC in there to allow that cylinder to recess into. So it's a little too tall, but it still works just fine. And it is an asymmetric lift, so these arms can be set at differing lengths. So we could pull this out so that it's longer than the other one. And that way the car can sort of hang out more on this end. And that allows you to open the doors, for example, fully while it's on the lift. So that's a great advantage there. It's also a clear floor lift, so you can drive straight through, no plate down here. Instead, it has that bridge at the top. They set the cutoff switch in here. It's right there. When the lift reaches that height, it cuts it off, and they set it so that that cylinder won't poke through the ceiling. So that's good. If I ever remedy that situation, I can move that up a notch. Got a couple of screw holes right up in there. I can raise that switch up a little bit and allow the lift to go higher if I modify the ceiling to allow that. This is the power unit. It is not wired yet. The electrician needs to come in and take care of that. And that's actually going to involve putting a 220 volt line in. And I've got the breaker capacity for it. We've already established that. So run a 220 out from there and wire it down to here. Probably put a junction box somewhere on this post. And they recommend having like a disconnect on the cable so that if the lift runs away and you can't stop it, you could disconnect the power. So we'll plan on doing that. The electrician should come in the near future, and I'll actually be able to put a car on this lift and raise it up. I'm looking forward to that. Got this thing hooked up to electricity, and we've got a cutoff switch there just in case. So we're about ready to put a car on this thing and test it out. There it is.